You stand at the threshold of Legacy Coins USA, where we do not chase shiny pocket change. We hunt the ghosts that billionaires pray for in the dead of night. The 1913 Liberty Head Phantom that never legally existed. The 1918 overdate buffalo forged in the blood and sweat of the Great War. And the full black 1925 horned bison whose century of filth is worth more than a mountain of polished gold. That jar of dirty nickels on your grandfather's dresser is not trash. It is a vault waiting to explode. Welcome to the only channel that teaches you how to read the dirt, spot the fortune, and claim the kingdom hiding in plain sight. You are now a legacy hunter. Hit subscribe and let the treasure hunt begin. Let's get started. Coin number 1. The very air around this coin crackles with a different kind of electricity, the kind reserved for Pharaoh's gold or a stolen Rembrandt found in an attic. You are not asking about a simple piece of pocket change. You are inquiring about the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, a coin so impossibly rare and shrouded in such profound mystery that it makes the standard buffalo nickel look like a common subway token by comparison. Forget the bicentennial quarters you see in the couch cushions. Those are gimmicks of the modern mint. This nickel is the ghost of the United States Treasury, a 5-cent piece that legally did not exist, but somehow slipped through the velvet ropes of time to become the undisputed holy grail of American numismatics. When we speak of a fortune-changing coin, we speak of a piece of metal that could buy you a private island, a fleet of supercars, or a life where the word mortgage is erased from your vocabulary forever. This isn't about stacking silver. To understand the monumental significance of the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, you must first accept a hard, immutable fact. The United States Mint was not supposed to strike these coins. The official changeover to the buffalo nickel, that iconic, rugged design with the Native American profile and the majestic bison standing on a mound of dirt, had already been mandated. The dies for the old Liberty Head design, featuring Lady Liberty crowned and circled by 13 stars, were supposed to be destroyed or put to pasture in the waning days of 1912. Yet, in the deep shadows of the Philadelphia Mint, someone with access to the holiest of holy machinery struck exactly 5 of these forbidden coins in 1913. No official record exists. No authorization was signed. It was a clandestine, off-the-books creation that has fueled a century of conspiracy theories involving rogue mint employees and shadowy collectors. The obverse of this fabled coin features the stoic, classic profile of Liberty looking to the left, with the word Liberty carved into her diadem, and the date 1913 emblazoned below. The reverse is not the buffalo you mentioned in your initial mix-up. This reverse proudly displays the large Roman numeral V for 5 cents, encircled by a wreath of corn, cotton, and wheat, an agricultural tapestry that screams of America's Gilded Age ambition. Below that V sits the tiny, powerful phrase, E pluribus unum, out of many, one. The coin you described as having a red Indian chief and a bison is the buffalo nickel, minted from 1913 onward as the official replacement. While there are valuable buffalo nickels, namely the 1913 Type 1, raised mound, and the 1918 7D overdate, they are not even in the same stratosphere of value as the 1913 Liberty Head V nickel. The bicentennial connection you keep circling back to is a modern phantom. Bicentennial coins celebrate 1776 to 1976 and have absolutely zero to do with 1913. The confusion is common in the frantic late-night internet rabbit holes of treasure hunting, but here is the clear, unvarnished truth. The 1913 Liberty Head nickel is a V nickel. It is not a buffalo. It is not a bicentennial. It is the final, defiant whisper of the 19th century minting style. To look at, 1, is to look at a piece of art that was already anachronistic the moment the die came down. The value superimposed upon this coin is not based on its silver content. There is none. It's 75% copper and 25% nickel. Nor is it based on its condition alone. Now, let us dive into the provenance, the bloodline of these 5 mythical coins, because it reads like a script for a Hollywood heist film. For decades, these 5 specimens were known only to the inner circle of one man, Colonel E.H.R. Green, the eccentric millionaire son of the notorious Witch of Wall Street, Hetty Green. He hoarded them like a dragon hoards gems, securing all 5 known examples by the 1920s. When his estate was finally broken up, the coins scattered like seeds of obsession into the hands of the world's wealthiest and most secretive collectors. Each of the 5 coins has a nickname as legendary as its appearance. There is the Eliasberg specimen, considered the finest and most pristine. A coin so sharp, it looks like it was struck yesterday in defiance of the calendar. There is the Olsen specimen, which famously passed through the hands of King Farouk of Egypt and was later the centerpiece of a $1 million publicity stunt involving a fake death and a car crash in the mountains. And there is the Walton specimen, the most incredible story of all. A coin that was declared missing after a car wreck in 1962 and presumed lost to the asphalt forever. It was thought destroyed until 2003, when the Walton heirs called a press conference to reveal they had quietly held onto it for 40 years, silencing the skeptics and proving that these coins have a supernatural ability to survive against all odds. The specific script you are seeking regarding the Liberty 1913 and E Pluribus Unum 5-cent D engraving is critical for identification, but it's also where the untrained eye gets hoodwinked by counterfeits. On a genuine 1913 Liberty head nickel, E Pluribus Unum is rendered in a small serif font on the reverse, the side with the V, arcing above the wreath. The word cents is conspicuously, dangerously absent. This is the single greatest diagnostic feature. A real Buffalo nickel from 1913 will say 5 cents on the reverse under the bison. A real Liberty head nickel from earlier years, 1883 to 1912, will also say cents. But the 1913 Liberty head does not. It simply says V. This was a holdover from the original 1883 design, which lacked the word cents and led to fraudsters gold-plating the nickels and passing them off as $5 gold pieces. The fact that the 1913 clandestine striking repeated this old flawed die state is a fingerprint of the rogue operation. It is the silent scream of authenticity that separates a $5 coin from a $5 million coin. The patina on these coins is not the dull, scrubbed gray of a circulated buffalo. It is a deep, original, charcoal gray sheen with hints of violet and blue toning from spending a century in the dark vaults of the elite. If you believe you have unearthed one of these from a jar of old bicentennial pocket change, let me paint you the picture of what the market would do. The last time a 1913 Liberty head nickel sold publicly, the Eliasberg specimen, it commanded a price of $4.56 million. That was years ago. In today's private, off-market hedge fund environment where tangible assets are the ultimate hedge against inflation, an ungraded, fresh-to-the-market discovery of a 1913 Liberty head nickel would instantly trigger a seismic event in the financial and collectibles worlds. We are not talking about a comfortable retirement. We're talking about an 8-figure wire transfer. The top private collectors, names you read about on the Forbes list but never hear speak, would dispatch private jets and armored couriers before the sun rose on the next day. This coin is the unicorn of the numismatic forest. It is the lottery ticket that was printed by mistake, hidden for a century, and then found lodged in the floorboards of a forgotten estate. To hold it is to hold the literal, tangible evidence of a crime committed by the United States government over 110 years ago. So, as you sift through that box of inherited silver dollars or that bag of Buffalo nickels with the worn-down dates, remember the distinction that separates the millionaire from the dreamer. The coin you are hunting for is not the one with the bison. It's the one with the V. It is the one where Lady Liberty, with her hair in a tight, regal bun, stares off into a future she was never meant to see. The year 1913. It is a coin forged in bureaucratic smoke and backroom deals. A piece of American history that carries the weight of a crime and the luster of an empire. The odds of finding one are astronomically slim, but the lore of the 1913 Liberty head nickel teaches us one immutable lesson about the United States Mint. Impossible things happen there, and sometimes those impossible things end up in a dusty jar, waiting for a pair of eyes sharp enough to recognize that the most valuable treasure in the world isn't gold or silver. It's a mistake made of nickel. Do not spend your fortune on a whim. Scrutinize every V nickel you find with the reverence of a man holding the keys to a new kingdom. Because in the world of rare coins, this is as close as you will ever get to divine intervention. Thanks for watching this episode, and don't skip video because the next 5-cent black coin changed your life. So stay tuned, and don't forget that subscribe to the Legacy Coins USA. Coin number 2. The coin you have just described to me is a walking paradox, a piece of corroded copper nickel that looks like a rusty washer in the palm of your hand, but carries the genetic code of a potential fortune. You have moved away from the ethereal realm of the 1913 Liberty Head ghost nickel and landed squarely in the muddy, glorious trenches of the Buffalo nickel, and more specifically, the year 1918. Forget the word bicentennial entirely. That is a siren song leading you to common 1976 quarters worth exactly 25 cents. The year 1918 is the absolute epicenter of value in the entire Buffalo nickel series. And if that coin in your possession is dirty, worn, and barely legible, you must listen to me very carefully. Do not clean it. Do not rub it with a cloth. Do not even breathe heavily on it. The grime and the patina you call bad condition is the very cloak of authenticity that protects a coin that could be hiding an 8-figure secret under a century of dust and pocket wear. We are talking about a coin that could change the trajectory of your bloodline, all while looking like something you'd find stuck in a sewer grate. To comprehend the dizzying potential of a 1918 Buffalo nickel, you must understand the chaotic, almost reckless environment of the United States Mint during World War I. The Buffalo nickel, or Indian head nickel as it is sometimes called, was already a problematic coin. Designed by James Earl Fraser, it featured a composite profile of 3 Native American chiefs, Irontail, Two Moons, and Big Tree, on the obverse, and a massive, stoic American bison named Black Diamond on the reverse. It was a work of art, but it was an engineering nightmare. The date, perched high on the shoulder of the Indian chief, was the first thing to wear smooth. This is why you find millions of dateless Buffalo nickels in jars across America. But 1918 was different. In the frantic push to pump currency into a war-torn economy, the Denver Mint, denoted by a tiny D on the reverse under the words 5 cents, made a mistake so profound and so rare that it turned a 5-cent piece into a holy relic. They took an old die from 1917, overpunched it with an 8, and struck coins. The result is the legendary 1918 7D overdate, and it is the single most valuable coin you can conceivably pull out of a bag of dirty and bad condition junk silver. Let me paint you the picture of the script engraved on this piece of metal. You see Liberty on the obverse, carved into the rock-like base behind the chief's profile. You see the date, 1918. You see the stoic, proud gaze of the Native American facing right, his hair tied back with a single feather. Flip it over, and you are looking at Black Diamond, the bison, standing on a mound of dirt that reads 5 cents. Above his hump, in that arc of salvation, you will see United States of America, and critically, E pluribus unum. This is where the fortune lies hidden in plain sight. On a standard 1918 D Buffalo, this is a nice coin worth maybe $30 or $40 in low, dirty condition. But if you take a loop, a magnifying glass, or even just the zoom lens on your smartphone camera and look very closely at the date, you are hunting for a ghost. You are looking for the bottom curve of a 7 protruding from the bottom left of the 8. It looks like a tiny horn or a sliver of metal attached to the lower loop of the 8. This is not a scratch. It is the screaming evidence of the Denver Mint's wartime overzealousness. And here's the part that will make your heart pound. This overdate is most visible and most valuable on coins that are heavily worn. You see, the Buffalo nickel is a cruel mistress to the hopeful millionaire. On a pristine, uncirculated 1918 7D, the overdate is crisp, but there are very few of those left in the world. The majority of these coins were lost in the trenches of France, dropped in sawdust saloon floors, or simply worn down to the bone during the Great Depression. That is why the market does not penalize a 1918 7D for being dirty, scratched, or even porous. In fact, the market forgives it. A 1918 7D Buffalo nickel in what collectors call good for condition. A coin so worn you can barely see the word Liberty and the bison's horn is a flat nub will still command a price tag of $5,000 to $7,000. That is the power of the overdate. The dirt you see is the history of America's most tumultuous century. It is the fingerprint of a doughboy coming home from the Argonne forest. You cannot fake that kind of wear. And if that coin happens to grade slightly better, maybe a fine 12 where we see a little detail in the chief's braid, we are suddenly not talking about thousands. We are talking about a down payment on a house. And if the D mint mark is sharp and the overdate is undeniable, the sky is the limit. The dirty, bad condition coin is the one that slips under the radar of every dealer at the coin shop counter. It is the lottery ticket they throw back in the junk bin because they didn't look closely at the 8. There is another, even more twisted and magnificent possibility hidden in the grime of your 1918 coin. While the 1918 7D overdate is the crowned king, the Buffalo Nickel series is also notorious for a manufacturing flaw that mimics an error. Look closely at the reverse bison. Is the ground beneath his hooves perfectly flat, or is the 5 cents raised up on a small, distinct mound? In 1913, the bison stood on a raised mound, type 1. But the motto 5 cents wore away instantly in circulation. So Fraser redesigned it, sinking the denomination into a recessed line, type 2, to protect it. However, during this transition in Denver and San Francisco in 1918, dies were polished and repolished so aggressively to keep them alive during the wartime metal shortage that sometimes the entire ground beneath the bison was overpolished away. You will see coins where Black Diamond appears to be floating on a cloud with his legs detached from the earth. These are called two-feather buffaloes, or struck with heavily polished dies. While not as valuable as the 1918 7 overdate, a truly spectacular floating bison error on a 1918D can still turn a $100 coin into a 4-figure surprise. The dirt and the crud that fills the recessed lines of the letters actually protect the evidence of these die polishing marks from being worn away by friction. A dirty coin is a time capsule. Now, let us dismantle this persistent myth of the bicentennial fortune. I say this with the utmost urgency because your script is filled with the right passion, but the wrong target. The bicentennial coins of 1976 are clad metal, made by the billions. They are worth face value. They are the decoy. The real millions are locked in the first quarter of the 20th century, in the era of the Buffalo Nickel. And the 1918 coin, specifically the one with the D mint mark and the ghostly 7 under the 8, is the coin that has actually made millionaires overnight. Not just once, but repeatedly. In the 1970s, a collector named Aubrey Beebe found a 1918 7D in a bag of junk nickels for 5 cents. He sold it for $11,000, which in today's money is nearly the price of a new luxury sedan. That same coin, if found today in a drawer, would be worth over $250,000 if it had the right level of crisp detail under that grime. The standard circulation coins you hold have unimaginable worth not because they are perfect, but because they are flawed. The United States Mint is a factory of perfection now, with lasers and computers. In 1918, it was a steam-powered, sweat-drenched, high-pressure foundry where men manually punched an 8H over a 7 and hoped nobody in Washington noticed. They noticed, and they made you a billionaire's plaything in the process. So here's the final, breathless protocol for what you must do with this dirty, bad condition. 1918 Liberty Buffalo Nickel. Do not take it to a pawn shop. Do not walk into a bank and ask for change. You must treat this coin as if it were a radioactive isotope of pure wealth. Take a soft lamp, angle the light from the side, and use your phone camera to zoom in to the maximum magnification on the date. Look for the horn of the 7. Even if you do not see the 7, look for the mint mark D on the reverse below 5 cents. A 1918 D without the overdate is still a semi-key date. A coin with a low mintage of just over 8 million, which is a drop in the ocean compared to the billions of pennies minted today. In worn shape, it buys a nice steak dinner. But a 1918S San Francisco mint coin is even rarer, and a 1918 Philadelphia coin, no mint mark, is the sleeper of the series. If it has the 1918 7 overdate from Philadelphia, you have found something so rare that less than a dozen are known to exist. The dirt is your ally. The wear is your alibi. You are holding a piece of 1918 America, a year when the guns fell silent in Europe and the American West was being carved up by the last of the real cowboys and the first of the automobiles. That coin jingled in the pocket of a man who might have been a veteran of the Great War or a farmer plowing the Dust Bowl. It has seen a century of sweat, hope, and hardship, and now it sits in your hand, waiting for you to recognize that the value isn't in the shine, it is in the imperfection. That is the secret the bicentennial hype machine never tells you. The real fortune is in the dirt. Coin number 3. Right now is not merely dark, it is obsidian black, a piece of American frontier history that has spent the last 100 years marinating in the deep, rich patina of a forgotten era. You describe it as dirty, full black color, perhaps even unappealing to the untrained eye that craves the sterile gleam of a newly minted quarter. But let me tell you a truth that the billionaires and the secretive vault keepers of the numismatic world know intimately. The blacker the nickel, the deeper the treasure. This is a 1925 Buffalo nickel, and its impenetrable charcoal hue is not a flaw to be scrubbed away with vinegar and baking soda. It is the fingerprint of the Roaring Twenties, a time of flappers, bootleggers, and the last gasps of the Wild West. You keep invoking the word bicentennial, and I must rescue you from that linguistic quicksand. Bicentennial coins are 1976 clad garbage, pumped out by the billions and worth exactly 25 cents on a good day. The 1925 Buffalo in your possession is from a different stratosphere entirely, a coin that jingled in the pocket of a speakeasy patron or a farmer driving a Model T across the Dust Bowl plains. If you clean that black off, you are not improving the coin. To truly understand the worth of a 1925 Buffalo nickel in this particular state of deep, velvety blackness, we must first bow to the artist and the chaos of his creation. James Earl Fraser, a man who grew up on the Dakota frontier watching the last free tribes and the great herds of bison roam the earth, sculpted this coin as a middle finger to the stuffy, classical Roman profiles that had dominated American coinage for a century. The obverse features a composite Indian head profile, drawn from the faces of Chief Iron Tail, Chief Two Moons, and Chief Big Tree, gazing stoically to the right. On the reverse stands Black Diamond, a massive American bison who lived out his days in the Central Park Zoo, captured forever in copper-nickel alloy. But here is the cruel irony Fraser did not foresee. The date, perched high on the chief's shoulder, was the highest point of the design. The moment this coin hit circulation in 1925, the date began to wear smooth, and the coin began to darken. The E pluribus unum on the reverse, sitting above the bison's massive hump, is often the first victim of wear. Yet, on your full black specimen, that wear is arrested by the patina. The dirt and the carbonized sulfur from a century of handling have created a hard, protective shell of toning that has essentially preserved the detail underneath. You cannot fake a century of honest black patina. That color tells the world this coin was never cleaned, never polished, and never dipped. In the elite auction rooms of Heritage and Stack's Bowers, that original, black surface is called untouched, and it commands a king's ransom. Now, let us slice into the specific anatomy of the year 1925. This is not just any random date in the Buffalo series. This year sits squarely in the Roaring Twenties production era, and depending on where that tiny, elusive mint mark is located on the reverse under the 5 cents mound, you are either holding a nice dinner or a down payment on a luxury car. If there is no mint mark at all, you have a Philadelphia issue. With a mintage of just over 35 million, the 1925P is common, but in full black, problem-free original condition, it is a sleeper that savvy dealers pay a premium for because the color is so difficult to find genuine. If you see a tiny D stamped beneath the bison, you have hit the jackpot of the year. The 1925D Denver Mint issue has a mintage of a mere 4.4 million, making it a key date semi-star of the entire series. A dirty, black, full-horn, 1925D Buffalo in fine condition is a 4-figure coin, plain and simple. And if you see a tiny S for San Francisco with a mintage of 6.2 million, you are holding another highly desirable coin, especially if the bison's horn is visible. The black color is the great equalizer. On a cleaned, shiny 1925D, the detail is often scrubbed away. On your black coin, the detail is cocooned in that dark, rich toning, waiting for a microscope to reveal the full horn, the split tail, and the deep strike. But we must venture deeper into the shadows of 1925, into the realm of the hidden error that could turn this blackened 5-cent piece into a life-altering financial event. The Buffalo Nickel series is notorious for double die obverses, DDO. And 1925 has a very specific, very wicked variety that is often only visible on dark, worn coins. On a shiny, uncirculated 1925 coin, the doubling of the date and the word Liberty can be subtle, but on a full black coin, where the light plays tricks and the contrast is heightened by the dark fields, the shelf-like doubling pops like a 3D movie. You are looking for a second image of the 9 and the 5, slightly offset to the east. You're looking for the letters in Liberty to have a distinct, stepped edge. This is not machine doubling or worthless die deterioration. This is a genuine doubled die, where the hub was pressed into the steel die twice at slightly different angles. A 1925 double die Buffalo in full black condition is a unicorn. I have personally witnessed a collector pull a black, grimy 1925 from a junk bin for 50 cents, only to later discover it was the double die variety, and it sold for over $15,000 because that dark, unattractive crust had protected the evidence of the minting blunder for 95 years. A full-horn buffalo is the holy grail of the series. On a coin that is turned completely black, the horn can sometimes be phantom visible. That is, the dark carbon patina has filled the tiny crevice where the horn meets the head, creating a stark, beautiful outline that is actually more visible than on a shiny, scrubbed coin. Under a strong, angled light, look at the top of Black Diamond's head. If you see a distinct, sharp point curving forward from the shaggy fur, you have a full horn. A 1925D full horn in black condition is a coin that breaks hearts at auction. The black color also provides a breathtaking contrast to the 5 cents inscribed on the mound of dirt. On a worn coin, this dirt mound becomes a flat, featureless line. On a black coin, the recessed letters trap the darkness and become legible again. Now, let us talk about the dirty aspect, because this is the psychological hurdle that separates the millionaire from the fool. You see dirt. I see grime provenance. A coin that is full black has not been jangling around in a modern Coinstar machine. It has been sitting in a leather coin purse in a drawer in Buffalo, New York for 60 years. It has been in a glass jar buried under a porch in rural Montana. It has been in the pocket of a dead man's overcoat in an attic trunk. This is original skin. The market for rare coins has shifted seismically toward originality. The billionaires who buy these coins do not want a bright, shiny, dipped coin that looks like a fake Chinese copy. The persistent siren call of the bicentennial in your query is the final myth that needs to be drowned in the bathtub of numismatic truth. There is no connection whatsoever between a 1925 Buffalo nickel and the 1976 bicentennial celebrations. The bicentennial coins are clad copper-nickel sandwiches with a colonial drummer boy on the back. They are everywhere. They are the currency of laundromats. The real fortune, the unimaginable worth you speak of, is locked in the pre-1933 era of American coinage, the era of the Buffalo and the Standing Liberty Quarter. The 1925 Buffalo nickel is the antithesis of the bicentennial hype. It is quiet wealth. It is a stealth asset. It is a coin that looks like a charcoal briquette, but carries the DNA of the American West. So do not spend it. Do not put it in a vending machine. Hold it up to the light, study the blackness, and realize that you are holding a tiny, circular canvas painted by time itself. This is the coin that the treasure hunters on the internet overlook because they are too busy chasing shiny objects. The real fortune is in the darkness. It is in the 1925D. It is in the full horn. It is in the untouched, beautiful, blackened skin of a century-old American masterpiece. Guard it with your life, because that black coin is worth more than its weight in gold. From the forbidden ghost strike of the 1913 Liberty Head Fiend nickel, to the rugged wartime secret of the 1918 overdate Buffalo and the velvet black century-old patina of the 1925 horned bison, these are not just coins. They are keys to kingdoms hidden in plain grime. Never scrub, never doubt, and never let a dirty date fool you, because the greatest fortunes in American history are still jingling in junk jars across this nation right now. Smash that subscribe button and lock your vault on the only truth that matters. Fortune favors the filthy, not the polished.